Back once again.
Back once again, man.
English episode. How do you like these English episodes, man?
I like them. We have to broaden our audience a little bit, and you know there are so many interesting people outside of the Netherlands or that talk English. So yeah, I really enjoy it. But today's guest is special for me because I've known him for 15 years. Like he was on my radar when I was maybe longer, 20 years already, I guess. And when I was strolling around on all the forums about martial arts, mixed martial arts, and then this guy showed up, and you were more involved in that part. But it's funny to see him in real life, and I just told him like it's funny to see you evolve during the years as well. So I'm really happy that you're here. And who we got in the studio today?
Well, very interesting guest. We have John B.A.N.G. Reilly in studio, and what fascinates me about John is the fact that he combines several of my interests in one person. He's a big martial arts fan, but he's also a rapper who's recently moved on to projects in the form of documentaries and voiceovers, and I like the things that he's able to do with just his voice and his words. I'm a big fan of rap, and I've always been fascinated by the power of words and the triggers and the buttons they can push in your mind. And I know that he's also very involved with the topic of mind game, discipline, how to deal with hard circumstances. And while he's had a very, what I want to say, well, maybe, troubled past as well. And it's interesting to see how he has developed himself despite these things, and how he looks upon these things and how they influence them. And I think there's an authenticity in just not trying to cover that, but just, you know, embracing that. So, John, welcome to the studio.
Bless.
Is that an accurate summary we gave there? Are you like a rapper that's moved on to doing voiceovers and online documentaries and all kinds of art projects, or are you still a rapper? Or
The only incorrect thing is I'm not what I do. I'm a human being that does stuff. You know what I mean? So I messed around with the discipline of rap. It was a place that was more available to me, with you know, writing and blending words and creating new language, especially being excluded. And you know, especially when you're young, you can be a little bit overwhelmed with that. But the beautiful thing was that I was blessed with a community that I saw that weren't asking to be included. They saw that, you know, what I have to do so much to my honor to beg to be included. So they said, we're going to do our own thing. So they flipped the language, used the English language, and showed the people that were speaking that language how much more of expertise they had. Because I think there's only 7,000 words in the English language. And when these rappers in Arabic, there's 7 million.
Wow.
So when you got these people that come from an African background and they've enriched the language and made it more than 7,000. You know what I mean? And it's more profound. You know, you flip the word nigger and make it G-A. And now you've got young middle class or upper class white kids who are, you can go on the internet, watch them fight, and they killed that nigger. And they're all white. So the word, like, we took it from the people that were using it to insult us and morphed it into almost a badge of honor. And when you understand psychology, when you know you have these words that are supposed to break down your self-worth, and you have that genius being in receipt of that abuse and finding in yourself something that to fight back and say, no, whatever, I can't find another word. These are the words that you've given us, but I'm definitely going to change its meaning and sentiment. And of course I was attracted to that. It's very powerful, you know. And then I was just looking at the wordplay, and then cadence came into it, and then threading of words. It was like Persian carpets, you know what I mean? And then the number one thing that I noticed is that I transcended my environment. Like I remember one time sitting cross-legged in front of a window in the little flat that I was staying in London, and it was daylight. And the only reason I looked up is because my bones were aching, because I stayed in the same position for so long, and when I looked up it was dark. Do you know what I mean? And I'm like, anytime somebody's tried to teach me about meditation, it hasn't come close to that. I was out of the body, out of the circumstances, out of the fears, out of the inadequacies, out of the melancholy, gone. I was just gone. Just because of like trying to better the last piece that I did. And it kind of reminds me of Jujitsu. Jujitsu is like an evolving form of movement. There's a tiny, intricate little placements of hips and stuff can make a massive change in the fight. And even in Jiu-Jitsu, it's like, oh, if you get choked, then there's almost like a stagnation there. It's like, okay, it's over. But what hip hop does, it goes, okay, there's that move, you're in this position, but there's a little bit more you can do in the middle. Turn the chin a little bit. Stuff that has not been put into Jiu-Jitsu yet. I think there's a guy, he's a commentator on MMA. Looks a little bit like a rock star. He's got jet black hair.
Dan Hardy?
Brandon Schaub.
He used to do analytics.
Is he from England?
No, an American guy. He used to have a show, and then he would do these analytics, and they would freeze the thing, and then he would say, this move here, you should have done this. And he looks like he's in a rock band, but he's not.
He's a jiu-jitsu guy, right?
I think he used to be a jiu-jitsu guy. Sometimes he dyes his hair blue.
Oh, Ed Hardy?
No,
That's
the English guy.
What's it? No, that's the other guy. He had the Bully Beatdown on MTV. No,
this guy. Anyway, I can't remember who it is, but he basically spoke about the little stuff that you can do in between. You know what I mean? And the early days of hip hop did that for me. If you listen to Rakim, what he did with cadence and wordplay was like fundamental, but he broke the word up into fun your mental. You know, which psychologically is what a kid needs to do that's in a disenfranchised position. You can't change it. If you're being angry about it, just exasperates it. But if you fun the little environment that you're in, then there's no cortisol produced in the body. No cortisol produced, because cortisol makes your brain like this. Run. You know, no cortisol. It's like massive ideas and possibilities are there. So as long as you stay calm, but not only calm, but in a state of play, that's a whole other bag, because the intelligent hormones are serotonin and dopamine. That's where intelligence grows. It fertilizes ideas, play. So that one thing from that man, fundamental.
Were you aware of that at the time you were sitting in front of that building?
What's that?
Like you're talking about this like a spiritual experience, but were you actually aware about it at the time where you were sitting in front of that building, had this transcendental experience?
It came into play as a memory and a tool afterwards. I experienced it by accident, and I was like, this is handy. And then I was in some other situations where you can be put in a situation where you can't do anything outside. You can't do anything about what's going on outside. And if you're in a situation where you're locked in a room for 23 hours a day, worrying about what you can't control, there are people in there that hang themselves and cut their wrists open with broken phone cards. So whenever I was in that situation, I used that tool. You know what I mean? So I might have been surrounded in concrete, but all I could do was, can I have a pen and piece of paper, please? No problem. As soon as I got that, I was swimming with dolphins and playing with polar bears, and I could be anywhere. You know, and the mind, it's a projector. And you know, if you watch movies and there's a horror part, your heart rate goes up. And I can become the Stanley Kubrick of my emotions. Do you know what I mean? And that, coming from an environment of not having facility, and all of a sudden having this amazing facility that you can use, and it comes out of, it's free. I can just go, I want to do this now. Bam, it's there. So that I'm transcending at that moment. I'm like, I'm totally facilitated. And the possibilities, I've invented them myself. You know how liberating that is? It doesn't matter that you stop me in my car because I'm the wrong color or I've got tattoos on my face. You have 30 minutes to make me feel that I'm not free. But I'm like, but you can't write like me. So after this 30 minutes, you're going to have to still do your 9 to 5. Me, I'm on Mars. You just inspired another great poem. That's a lottery ticket. That will make me earn 5 times as much as you next week. So
yeah,
it's a magical thing. And it was passed on to me by people that didn't want any money. They just sit with you and go, you can do that better, bro. These great cheerleaders that would, you know, you didn't need a marketing exec or an agent to say, he's great. Your friend was going, you're the best I've ever heard, bro. And there's like this interchange of people blocking, you know, this constant influx of bad publicity in the media of people that have your body type and your skin color. And your own friend is just blocking that, saying you're amazing. And with tears in his eyes and a smile on his face, and it's genuine. Yeah, of course you become Superman and the next piece you write is amazing. And then all of a sudden somebody hears it and you get put on a stage or a camera points at you. I wrote something yesterday that it was like, kind of like, I think I had a sense of humor in it to a degree, but I was like, my ultimate goal is to get to a point where a parent says to their kid, you remind me of Johnny, right? But not in the way that people think like, you know what, you're so bad. You remind me of Johnny. My goal now is that the parent goes, I feel so safe with you as a teenager because you remind me of Johnny. Everything's good. I'm not afraid anymore. That's my goal now. You know, through these means, you know what I mean? It's all I can do to pay that back. What was given to me for free is to give it to somebody else's child. I mean, we've got different facilities to do that. It's not on the block anymore. It's through your phone. I can get into the kid's life through technology. And they can rewind it and play it again and rewind it and play it again. On the block where you hear a great rhymer, when he's done, it's done. You've got to catch it and remember it the first time round. Now they can just live with it. And with disenfranchised people, or people that have low value trauma, they channel. I mean, I don't know who I am, so I'm going to be old dog from menacing society, because that's the biggest symbol of power I've seen yet. He walked into that bodega and everybody did what he said. You don't want your kid channeling that. You know what I mean? So it's like, okay, I look a little bit like I've got the same stuff as O-Dog, but I'm going, channel me in this way. I mean, don't be a street fighter and pulling out guns with 30 in the clip and all of this. Learn some jujitsu. Put all these things inside your body, this knowledge, and don't have to fight because you know you can. I think I was saying to you, or you earlier on, about bodybuilders.
That was to you again.
Yeah, we were talking about that.
It's kind of weird that these guys, even though they're obsessed with looking like they can fight, because they can't. And the more they do it, because of the obsession to cover over the weakness of having no skills, they make their body less and less functional as they go along.
I enjoy the Gracie challenges where they challenge bodybuilders in their school.
Yeah.
Get more.
It's so funny when you think about it, though. Why is it that we associate being big and buff with being a great fighter? It makes you strong. I think that's the association that we have. But why, if you look at a big guy, like a guy at the door, you first, if he's a huge dude, you go like, whoa, that's a big guy. I got to, there's a certain danger that emanates from a big muscular dude because he's strong. But rationally, you might know that he's not a good fighter at all because, we know a little bit about Jujitsu and the fight game and all that muscle isn't necessarily helpful, but still.
It's because because when I wasn't involved in MMA or Jiu-Jitsu, I would look at the bouncer who was really big. And in my point of view, that guy was dangerous because big and he was possibly a dangerous guy. But these bodybuilders, even if they're not aware of fighting or jiu-jitsu, they never felt it, never experienced it. It's just a lack of perspective.
Yeah, but the feeling of he gets exaggerated by your lack of knowledge. It's you.
It inflates him even more.
So you look at that and you go into the computer and because we're males, I'm not going to blanket all males, but we've got this testosterone stuff that wants to constantly remind itself that it's safe. I'm safe. And then you've got this big thing, and it's not about his body, it's his attitude. You know what I mean? It's like most of these bouncers, they're supposed to make you feel that I'm here to make you feel protected while you're enjoying yourself. But it's the opposite. It's like, come in here, mess around, I can't wait to crush your head.
Some of them have that vibe going. Yeah,
a lot of them, right? And especially with me, like I got banned from Jimmy Woo's and stuff like that for frightening a bouncer on the door that was twice my size, right? Because I was confident. So his brain started going, he's got to have a gun. Can't be that small and that confident. It can't be that he can fight me. And I was like, yeah, I can fight you. But I'm only going for one target, your testicles. That's it. What is the one thing in all fighting forms that stops a fighter, no matter how big he is, strong he is, fast he is, or talented? A kick in the balls. Stops the fight immediately. So of course, you're not going to be guarding your testicles. You're a big guy. All you're going to be thinking about is the script is going to go one way. You're going to crush me. And while you're thinking like that, I've already got you distracted. Your testicles are going up in your belly. So because I had this idea, his size diminished. You know what I mean? But it's when you feel threatened a little bit and you go in your computer and there's no upload about what to do, then the fear. But the fear is, it's all happening to you. It's not, he's not real. It's like, I imagine this thing is going to hit me. I see my jaw getting broken. But what if you had great head movement? And you'd practiced every day. That doesn't even come up. His power now it becomes fun. Imagine Mayweather, no matter what size you are, he's like this. Yeah, good luck hitting me. He has a different. Yeah. He has it's all about the individual. About my whole thing is that I want to master being a generalist. Because when you're a specialist, if you want him to
no, it's fine. No. I was just looking what he was doing. So no worries.
Yeah, we're in the middle of making a film at the moment. So I'm just documenting all the movements that I'm making because this is movement.
Yeah.
And being a person, like going back to what we said in the beginning, marginalized, the whole thing about marginalization, even psychologically, is to make you feel you have no options. And that paralyzes you. You know, and your life becomes really small. Your options become really small. So the back end of that is that I'm moving and interacting and doing as many different things as possible as proof of life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because the other place is just death, stagnation, you know, you just rot. The lymphatic system doesn't even work if you sit still. You just fill up with crap. So movement is important.
Can I ask something about your tattoos? Because you were saying something like the bodybuilders, they have this thing in their mind, they need to be, you know, tough for some reason or intimidating to fill something up. Are you saying this because you experienced this yourself in your younger years?
Sure.
And are the tattoos in your face, for example, it's a similar thing like being big and muscular and having tattoos in your face, and it can be very intimidating?
It appears like that. It's like that for some people. But what happened is that I have different people are born with different will, and I watch people around me get crushed and give themselves up to being crushed. And my mother had serious mental issues, so I was a child that was beaten on the. That's how she expressed herself. She would have emotional fallouts and beat me very badly. But what I remember about myself is that I never ever really acknowledged the fact that actual blows. I didn't absorb. I didn't, you know, make that an issue. My issue, I was more concerned with standing up. That was it. Bum. Stand up. Bum. Stand up. Kind of like Archie Moore. He was a small guy who fought big heavyweights. You know what I mean? And I read a book called Serenity. That was important for me to be calm no matter what. I hate fear. You know what I mean? It's healthy, but I hate being afraid. Right? And they asked him, you know, what do you feel? You know, I think he got knocked down so many times in one round. It might have been Rocky Marciano that did it to him. And he said, what was going through your head when you kept getting knocked down, you kept getting up? And he just said, every time he was on the floor, he said, Archie, what are you doing down there? What are you doing down there, man? This is weird. And I just had this thing, I would always stand up. If I was in a fight and I got knocked down in the schoolyard, and even though the guy and his friends were kicking me in the head, I didn't care about being kicked. I cared about standing up, you know? And that led to me becoming obsessed with getting tools to make sure I can stay on my feet. So when a child, a creative being, you have to remember we are all world champions, because that competition that we went through on our way to the egg, we're never going to go through in this body. You were going against 1 million or 1 trillion other sperm. You're the champ.
Yeah.
You're the Usain Bolt. Yeah, you're the Mike Tyson. Before you even came out of the womb.
One before we were born. Yeah.
You were already. That's why when we're born, we're like, we want a position, because we have knowledge of that somewhere in ourselves. So stand up. I'm worth more than this. I beat 1 million other dudes or girls that wanted to make their way to that egg and didn't want me to be born, and I won the race. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that will is in me. So I was accumulating with this wonderful young brain. Other kids were learning to draw, learning to play, and all of that. And I was like, how do I make a weapon? What punch is the best one to use? And I was as ingenious as any child with energy at that. So then you fast forward and you get into your 20s and you're ripping people's souls out with how fast you are. And you're looking at them with all these ideas, and I would stand still and go, okay, computer full? Is your movie playing? Watch me change this shit. Bam! And it's gone. As soon as you hit them on the chin, ideas are scrambled, the guy's left with nothing in the computer but going like this, or making sounds like, please give me my life. You know what I mean? Please don't take my life. And that disturbed me because it was the goodness in me that surrounded myself with all this armory. Because I loved myself and I was a gentle child. And I didn't want that gentle child abused. So I looked around my environment that was built on brutality, and I had to do what the brutes do and become as heartless as them so they wouldn't abuse me. But all the time there was this soft, my stimulus was taking care of the fragile little boy that I was. And I was so fragile, I was very vicious because I love him.
You want to protect him, yeah.
100%. And I was very good at it. But then when I'm hitting these actors, 90% of them are actors, never been in a battle situation. They're actors, but I don't know they're actors. And where I come from, they get you on the floor to stamp on your head. So I'm expecting the worst. 90% of the time I'm going out in my 20s, you're in a bar, guy's got a few Heineken in him or whatever, and he believes the method acting that he's in, you know what I mean? He's channeling himself, he thinks he's Tyson. And most people, especially guys, they only think about this. Everybody can start the fight. Like everybody can jump into the swimming pool. How many lengths can you do? They never thought about that.
Can you even swim?
Right. They jump in. They think, oh, I'm going to throw this one punch. And just to make myself feel secure, I play this movie in my head that he's going to go and fall over. They throw the punch, they miss, and then they get hit with a 5-piece, and there's no more ideas left. And then I'm thinking, my world, you're going to pull a knife now. So now I have got to put you into another state of unconsciousness. Elbows are coming, thumbs are getting pushed in the eye, because I'm worried about you getting on top of me. And then this little boy looks back that goes, I've never had a fight before in my life, and I really want to go home to my mum. Fighting a guy that's living with a mother with severe mental issues and graduated from the home into children's homes with other children that are on heavy medication because they're dangerous from similar backgrounds. And I'm smashing the shit out of this civilian thinking he's just the same. And all he is an actor. So the little boy, the goodness in me, I hated that. I used to feel sorry for them. But I had to finish the job. Do you know what I mean?
I'm listening.
So then I got to a point, long story short, I said, how do I avoid this situation? I put up a beware of the dog sign so then I don't have to victimize you. So this wasn't to be the big guy, this was just to save you from what you don't know about. So I'm just kind of, let me try and make myself at the point where I looked at myself and I went, would I mess with this guy? No, job done.
So that's what the tattoos are for.
It's like the predator with the skin that scares off, right?
Yeah, I don't want it. I don't want it. And the nice thing about it now, some people are still intimidated by this. But I have older people going to me, moi tatuage.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like old ladies, it goes, beautiful. Because my energy is different.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of it. I'm listening to you talk about this, and the way you talk about these altercations that you had, and the look you get in your eyes. It's almost possible to imagine that you even enjoyed it at some point. It seems like glorification of violence.
No, I enjoyed surviving.
Yeah, I get that. But what I'm thinking when I'm looking at that and that thought process goes on is that this guy probably comes from situations that I, as a privileged white kid, have no idea of. I have no point of reference to understand the stuff that you went through. Like I hear you say a few elements. For example, where I come from, if you're on the ground, they keep stomping your head. I've never been in a situation like that, fortunately. So just to make sure we understand where this comes from, could you illustrate a little bit about your background and growing up in London and how absolutely savage that can be? Because for our average listener, they're not from the hood. They have no idea.
I'm not from the hood either.
No, but you know what I mean? From a a troubled background with violence and street fights and thugs, and I even heard you talk about knives. So yeah.
Most of my situation happened with upper class and middle class white kids. Not in the hood. I was born in the 60s, 64. No blacks, no Irish, no dogs. That's what was on the houses, the buildings. My mother happened to sleep with a Jamaican man. If she added a dog to that, it would have been really serious. But it was bad enough. Do you know what I mean? Yeah?
Yeah.
So you're a blonde-haired, blue-eyed woman, just comes into the country and she has a mixed-race child. Right?
I understand.
And then I get sent to Roman Catholic schools, where you have, I'm going to say something that people are going to find disgusting, but it comes from my stepfather, who is my mom's husband that she cheated on. And he brought me to see his mother. And when he said when his mother opened the door, her face was a shock. I mean, the town that we come from, a little fishing town in Ireland, there was no black people there. When I used to go there for summer holidays, they used to touch my curls because I never saw curls like that before. And in some cases, they thought you had a tail in your pants.
Really?
Yeah, because, you know,
that's ignorant. Related
related to a monkey. Well, Darwin's got to blame for that, right? Because I'm not supposed to be the finished job. Black people, we're not finished. The finished job, according to Darwinism, when you look at the pictures, is the Caucasian man. You know, have you ever seen the illustration from Darwin?
Yeah,
Where the
yes.
monkey's sitting in the tree, then they come out the tree, then it's like ape-like, and then it stands up, and then the finished product is the white guy walking off at the end. So, like, black people in the subconscious mind of most white people that believe in that bullshit is we're like the missing link that's still hanging around too long, right? So when I was at school, I had it from both sides. I had, you know, had this facility of being light skinned, so the black, darker skinned guys didn't like it. So I had to fight them. And then the Irish boys, Roman Catholic boys, who were afraid of the dark skinned guys, regarded me as a watered down version, so an easy target. So I had to fight them too. You know what I mean? And because of their home life is the brutal mind state of the British Empire is if it doesn't have value, you shit on it. You don't just leave it alone, you shit on it. You look for things that don't have value, you look for things that are weak, and you colonize it instead of nurturing it. I mean, look what they do with their own poor. If you've got a society that's supposed to be great, you've got all of this machinery and all of this money, and there's like a little town over there with about 100 people in it that can't eat properly, and that machinery can't put food in their belly. It's not about you're rich that makes your society look great. It's how you look after your vulnerable. And your machinery can't take care of your old. You're still putting them in old people's homes. That's backward. Somebody's blind, you give them a dog. What's that? Somebody's blind, you give them a dog to look after them. You know, we're supposed to be progressive. You know, most people can't even get in a shop to buy their food if they're in a wheelchair because you haven't structured the door properly. So people feel their disabilities in this environment. So then these kids are in their brain is like, that doesn't have any value. So of course you're going to stamp on my head.
Is that common in England then, or is that particular to London? Because it sounds very rough. When we were growing up, I don't know if we differed that much in age, or but where I was growing up, these kinds of fights weren't really.
How old are you?
38.
If you grow up in the 60s or in the 80s, it's different.
Different?
Definitely, man.
I'm 53, man.
All right, yeah. So it was a lot rougher back then, is what you're saying.
I can't say generally. I don't like doing that. But where I was, in that school I was in, I mean, I remember walking to my class once and you walk down these stairs, the playground is on a different level like this, and I'm walking down these stairs to go into my science class, and I hear, bam! And I just saw a light, and it was a brick.
The fuck?
You know what I mean? And like, then I look up, then, you know, kids are cruel like that. People, kids, you know, kids do shit
They
like
don't
that.
think, man. Yeah, true.
Kids do that all the time. But you can imagine that, you know, I think I was about 8 or 7 years old, and my older sister came to me, and she said that she found a newspaper clipping, and she goes, you know, you're not my brother. And I was like, what? She goes, well, look, and in this newspaper clipping it says that my mother's child was kidnapped, and they found me in a park and brought me back to my mother at 14 days old, and my mother went, that's not mine. So they put me in another room, and then went, here's a possibility. There's a black woman out there that hates her own child so much that she wanted a white one and stole this woman's white baby and left her own baby in the park. Right?
That's what the newspaper wrote.
Yeah. So, and it was a manhunt. It was on the front page of the Sun newspaper, which was called the Herald at the time, I think. And I was on the front page with the Beatles, right? And I was left in this room next to my mother after being really ill, because you put 14, you know, I'm born in March, so 14 days in that weather, and they only find me in a diaper, and I was bruised and hurt. You know what I mean? And then my mother goes, no, it's not mine. So my problem wasn't really the thing that happened to me. It was learning at that age that somebody didn't want me. And then you go to, and then your mother beats you every day, drowns you, puts pillars over your face, and then you go to school and you get bricks in the head. And then this is a profound moment, you know, when one guy went around the school playground, and I didn't know everybody. I was only young. It was different classes. You know your people in your own class. He's like, hey, I've got this idea. Spit in this cup till we fill it up, and let's put it on his head. And you imagine these people don't know me, and they just look at your frame, and they go, yeah, I'm in. Because as soon as that ended up on my head, you make that analysis. Why did you even agree? What is it about me that makes that agreeable? So now every day I'm going, what is it? So then I used to channel stuff. I remember I used to walk around in my bedroom on all fours because I didn't want to, just to be something else. Do you know what I mean? And behave like a monkey sometimes. And climb just to be out of this body.
Yeah.
Just to cope.
Yeah, I would change my accent. Sometimes I'd walk like this with my feet out. Sometimes I'd walk with them in, and then I'm changing character all the time. Shoulders back, shoulders over, all the time, all the time. Just trying to be another character other than Johnny. You know what I mean? And so getting back to the story about my stepdad, and you know, it doesn't stop. You know, you get these stories about yourself, and then you make an analysis about, you know, how do I play in the middle of this, and then. You're now in your 30s or early 40s, and your stepdad, you have, you know, because they basically said also that they made a blood test and he is my father, which is a lie. So we had a DNA test later on, and he's not, right? And then my mum comes clean and goes, yeah, it was the engineer, which means he's more educated than my stepfather, who calls everybody a nigger and says that his own grandchildren who are mixed race should be gassed at birth. This racist, right? Who loved me for some reason. Said I was a wonderful kid to be around. Very confusing environment to be in.
I can imagine. Yeah, those are some mixed signals.
Yeah, so, but then he's saying to me, we're in a park, and he goes, you know what happened? I had to go and see my mum and take you. And in the Roman Catholic school, like I was saying, how the mind state is made, imagine being a white kid, and your only interpretation of black people is you come on a Friday to give a penny to the charity box for the poor black kids. So even me, I'm thinking, black kids are always hungry. They're always poor. They're always in need of charity. Now you've got all these white kids in that programming. Of course, when we get in the playground, that's going to play out. I'm constantly providing for you, you useless thing. You're related to those useless people that we give pennies to. So what my stepfather says, when his mother looked at him weird, he said, Mum, I know that I had to give a penny every Friday to the poor people in Africa, but I didn't think I was buying one. That's supposed to be a sense of humor. Then you got my grandmother going, eeny, meeny, miny, mo. This is a nursery rhyme. They're supposed to soothe children. That's why you do nursery rhymes. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Catch a nigger by his toe. If he screams, let him go. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. And she's pulling my toe while she's saying that. Didn't know at the time that I was related to those people that they call niggers. So that subconscious song became a really big horror story for me when I became in my teenage years, when I really knew what that meant. So you can imagine trying to put myself together and being like this the whole time. Because you just get to a point where you go, I'm not taking on any more of this.
No.
You know what I mean? I don't sleep like other kids because I've got issues. I should be sleeping to develop my brain and my body, the pituitary gland healing me. So I was a very sick kid as well. I mean, then the mother has poverty that compounds the fact that we're lower than everybody else because we get everything out of dented cans that she would get cheap from a friend that worked in a canning factory for food. So everything I ate was out of a bloody can. You know what I mean? So my acne as a teenager made it even worse. You know, you can imagine the poison and the additives and then the plastic that's inside those cans and polluted body. But now, if I look at all of that, an orchid grew out of all that mud, who's a poet, a movement specialist. So in actual fact, where it should have decayed me is actually my power source. I don't focus on everything that happened to me. I'm doing it now to explain to you because you asked me the question. But I focus on that little guy that still loved his mother, that still was very quick to make friends with the same guy that switched on me when other kids were around to distance himself. So no, that low value person is not my friend. You know what I mean? I was like, man, yesterday we were hanging out and we were talking about our lives. Now all of a sudden these guys walk in the room and you're kicking me. You know? And then the next day nobody was around, he wanted to be my friend again, and I was like, cool, no problem. I like that guy, that forgiving child. You know what I mean? Who kept trying to stand up, who drew pictures for people. You know what I mean? And do you want something from nothing? Give me a pen. How's that make you feel? Good? So yeah, so it's a real power source now, you know what I mean? And the fact that I got all these tattoos for a good reason. To spare you, Mr. Actor, some reality.
Broken jaw and a concussion.
Yeah, I think that that clarifies the bit about, you know, that obsession with, well, apparently being able to defend yourself.
Yeah.
And
never enjoyed it, man.
No,
never ever enjoyed it. Never enjoyed it.
Although when I see you talk about the art of fighting, there's a certain spark. That
movement.
Goes on. Yeah, we talk about sparring or kickboxing like we just did. And there's a certain enthusiasm there. That's definitely something that...
The blows I don't like.
Yeah, I can imagine.
You know, I like surviving them. Goes back to that. I like surviving them. But if I'm kicking somebody, I'm only doing it as a tool to prepare you if you've ever been put in this situation. But if you don't put your hand up right and I catch you, my heart breaks. You know, I don't like that. It makes me emotional now thinking about it because I don't like the vulnerability of the person being shocked, and I don't like that look. But if I'm throwing that kick hard and you block it, then I'm happy because I've given you something now to protect your little boy. I'm not here to break your nose. Guys that come to spar lightly and all of a sudden you're in the sparring, they give you that sense of that's supposed to be the reality. It's pure fugazi because as soon as you start sparring, they're trying to kick your face in. You know what I mean? And then I'm like, okay, cool. You want to go there? We can go there.
Yeah.
But I never go to the point where I'm going to punish you for this. I don't ever want to be like the people that abuse me. Then you failed.
You really got that voice locked down because there have been moments in sparring where you've been where it goes to, like, you know, you've got this way of sparring where it's just relaxed and all of a sudden one hit gets through, you look at each other, you know, we're going to amp it up a notch now. And
You know, I always laugh and go, wicked, nice one.
yeah, but there's that moment where, you know, all right, we're going to go, like, you know, it's going to be more intense now. And there have been moments where I got hurt by someone and I got him back. There was that sense of satisfaction where it's like, yeah, good move. I got past his defenses. I got a hit in. He's a little bit intimidated right now, so the advantage is moving to me, and that feels good.
No, but that's not
there's
sparring.
nothing
You're
like that.
No, you're fighting.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, that's fighting. I'm sparring.
So what's the difference in
Because you're doing a teamwork to make each other stronger. I'm not here to impose my will on you.
But there's this improvement game in your own technique where you have to be like, if your level is mastery, you can allow yourself to be just concerned with your opponent.
Yeah, but don't let my emotions come in where I'm trying to use the situation for my inadequacies and I got you back. That never applies. I'm fine.
I can't lie, man. There's some times where I feel a little bit of, oh yeah, that was good. I got him.
You're
That's
emotionally
nice.
involved.
Invested, definitely. I want to win.
No, I'm here to do metal sharpens metal. You know, and if you get me, then I'm like, thank you for letting me have this concern that I need to concentrate on, because what I know about me is that's not going to happen again.
Right.
But thank you.
How intense do you spar, by the way? Because you work with your head.
I'm not sure how intense it is. I'm flowing.
I understand, but if you get impacts on your head, are they ever that hard that you might worry about what they do to your brain? Because there's been a lot of research about that lately. And do you spar at an intensity that might be an issue?
Now,
Yeah.
it's more about eyesight I'm worried about, because I was in America and I have these floaters, and sometimes they're so bad they go right across my pupil and I go blind for a second.
Oh.
What's the floater? What's it like? Is it like a medical condition?
I thought it was like bits of protein floating around in your eye, and sometimes they get in the way.
Yeah.
You know, like on a sunny day, if you just look out a window, all of a sudden there's these things that just bits of thread and stuff, right?
Yeah.
And I went to go and see an eye guy in Philadelphia, and I said, you know, I've got these things, and then he looked behind my eye. And he says, well, you have two things. He says, first of all, you're born with, was it genitative? Where you got a genital problem, genetic problem. And he says, you've got cataracts on the inner lens. Usually some people have this skin on the outside. He said, yours is on the inner lens. And it's like trying to clean a window with a dirty cloth, and the more you try and clean it, is the more muddy it gets. He says, and it's getting worse and worse as you get older. He said, later on we can cut your eye open, flap it and clean it, and then put a false lens in and all that. I'm like, what? No way, you know, because they do that shit when you're awake. So I said, I've got these floater things, you know, in my eye. I said, I think it's bits of protein. And he went, let me have a look. So then he was looking, and he said to me, do you fight? I said, yeah. He said, taking a lot of blows to the head? I said, yeah, I'm small, lots. And he's like, they're not floaters or bits of protein, they're bits of your eye.
Holy shit.
And he explained to me that you focused all the muscles in your eye on the person you're fighting. And imagine you get hit hard, the eye muscles are facing that way, and your head goes, but the eyes have got left behind, so obviously tears happen. Right? Because the head's been jolted so quickly or uppercut, but your eyes are still, the muscles are still focused this way. People don't think about that, you're tearing your eyes up. So he said that basically your retinas are just hanging on, and if you get hit hard again, you're going to end up like that.
Yeah. Damn.
You know? And then I realized why a lot of great fighters, especially bangers, when you see them later on, they're all wearing glasses.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it was an eyesight thing for me, as I'm not interested in headshots anymore.
No, I can imagine.
And it's great. It was great for me to know, because my kids are all want to do movement, and I don't want any of them to do striking with headshots. Period. Especially when the brain is forming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know? So yeah.
I recently saw an MMA match with kids in Russia. It was horrible.
Is that from that Czechian dictator? Who,
yeah, that really strange.
Yeah,
Heard about that guy?
He's a special
crazy
guy.
guy.
Right?
Oh, yeah. I think he wants to reinstate fights to the death.
With UFC fighters, he challenged the UFC.
Yeah, back to the good old days.
He's spending a lot of money, not on his country, but on MMA and Jujitsu.
Man with that amount of issues with power to do what he wants.
And it's very scary.
Yeah, but if I had that amount of power, this might not be the thing on the top of my list to manifest, I guess.
Guy needs therapy.
Oh, I guess.
What's your therapy for yourself?
Trying to make mortality is now my concern because I'm on the back end of my life, which is one of the greatest things that ever happened to me. Being young and think you're going to live forever is when you're really stupid.
Yeah,
I
can attest to that.
Stupid shit, because you just think,
Amen.
you know, the power bar, I've got so much to abuse and waste.
That's like till 8 years old?
What do you mean?
To what age is that, you think, in general? To what age do we
Even
think
in
that?
your 20s, you're still doing stupid shit.
Yeah, we were talking to a neuroscientist lately, and he explained to us that until 25, you're not that smart, you know.
Yeah, you don't think about consequence. You haven't lived enough to go that equals that.
Yeah, man. There's a reason that insurance companies charge you more for a car insurance when you're younger.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So now I'm at that point where the testosterone is lower, so I can focus more. The amount of distraction and time wasted with chasing girls, you know what I mean, and not even controlling your mind, where that just becomes an obsession, and you go off left, right. So now the testosterone's lower, so I can calm down.
That must be nice.
Yeah, it's cool. It's like getting out of jail. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can control your life.
Like a fog is lifted.
Yeah, hormones are just, you just got these hormones that were like change you up and pushing you in certain directions.
Yeah.
You know, and you think you're free, but you weren't. So that's gone. Not gone, but, it's a lot slower. And the mortality thing, knowing that no matter how much you think you're important, when you die, you're going to fly out of people's brains within 6 months. They're going to even forget you were on the planet. And the couple of generations from now, you're not even a thought.
Yeah, it's just a story, man. Everything is just a story.
Even that story will fade because it's just dependent upon people who will keep wanting to talk it.
Do you really think that's true when you look at, for example, stuff like YouTube? We talked about some of your music before. You said you removed one of the songs I liked that you did that I was listening to when I was training, and I was like, yeah, I removed that from YouTube. But had you allowed it to stay online and like everything you made and like you die, that remains. Like these podcasts.
Yeah, I don't know that.
That's true.
I'm dead.
But if your worry is that you will be forgotten.
No, I'm not worried about being forgotten. I was just saying, just putting in context. Yeah, that because that happens, now I'm into quality life. Because that's the only, while I've got life and I know that I'm going to be nothing, right? You can talk about faith that there's going to be something after that, but I'm just talk from my reality. We can get philosophical, but I know that when I go to sleep, I may dream and whatever, but life as I know it changes. So while I'm alive right now, especially when I was just dealing with so many issues, I wasn't feeling and tasting and smelling like everybody else. I was trying to be as small as possible sometimes to avoid situations. I remember I never even used to chew my food properly. Because when you're in the children's home, what happens is we all used to eat our meat first. Because if you eat your vegetables first, which is what you're really supposed to do, not the softer stuff are not supposed to be sitting on top of the meat, making it ferment inside your body. You're supposed to eat those things first. Because you basically got a piece of concrete coming afterwards, right? And I had an instinct to eat the soft stuff first, but they would just steal my meat. So it changed the way I ate. Everything was like this, real quick. Right, I've got some nourishment in my body.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So now I'm like chewing slowly. And I'm like, you know, I'm going to eat some grass-fed stuff. It has to be quality. Like, we were going to Cali in the morning, and like, Oakland is supposed to be great for food and stuff like that. And I'm like, cool, I'm going to try it all. Now my whole thing is like, I said, a guy called Action Bronson, who's a rapper that used to be a chef. And he goes like to Paris, and he goes to these places that sources their meat from a great place and uses this bread and whatever. And I'm like, I'm going to Paris, and I'm going to go and eat in exactly the same place and eat exactly the same food. And now it's all about quality, and I slow everything down, and I smell, and I'm aware of how my feet walk. You know what I mean? And I found that when you concentrate on, and my identities come through movement. I'm not sitting here just a normal frame. I'm a frame that can do amazing stuff when I feel like it. You know, and we were talking about strength, that a bodybuilder has strength, but in a line. But dislocate the shoulder, and it stays dislocated. Real strength, what I learned from Ido Porto, is being able to dislocate and put it back and nothing happens. That's strength. Nothing breaks. You go do Jujitsu, you get an arm bar, and it can go right back, and it doesn't go, and then the guy thinks it doesn't work, and he changes his position, you pull your arm out and still stand up and strike, and nothing happened to it. That is strength.
There's one movie that really gives me the goosebumps, where Ido Portal stands in front of a group and he jumps up and he twists his ankles on both.
Yeah.
Oh, when he
on
lands,
purpose.
yeah,
and he goes back and he's like, I'm a cool.
It was amazing that, you know, as well as all the opportunities I'm getting in my life is crazy, because I wanted to make this film, and then I don't reach out. People just approach me, like the London Real thing. They approached me. I said, how did you find me? They said, we asked our viewers who they want to interview next, and you came up. This is a podcast or whatever you call it in another country.
Yeah.
You know, that I'm not even, you know, my popularity was in Holland. You know, and it was like their thing is global. How did that happen? And then I'm there, and then I discover Ido Portal. Then I start copying his moves just off of YouTube. And I used to dance when I was younger. So if you show me a movement, I just have this physical IQ. I just know how the placement's supposed to go and how to shift my weight. And I was doing all these movements just off of the screen. And then he messages me on Facebook and says, I really admire your work. I'm like, what?
Out of nothing?
Out of nothing. And what happened was there was the filmer from Conor McGregor who saw my work and then played it to Ido Portal, because he was working with Conor McGregor. And then Ido Portal hit me. You know what I mean?
Small
and
world.
Then London Real tells me that they've made a movie about Ido Portal and they're doing a premiere. And then I hit Ido Portal and says, you're going to be at the premiere? He went, yeah. I said, can I film with you? He said, yeah, cool. I got 2 hours on this day. I said, cool. Got on an airplane, went there, met him, like two brothers. We were like this. The next day, I'm doing lizard walks on the floor with Ido Portal, and he's never trained me, and we're identical. Identical. You know? And then he's sitting with me, and I maybe want to cry. And I'm like, is this right? He goes, is it right for you? I'm like, yeah. He goes, and then it's right. You know? And he says things like, you know, because I teach movement, people expect me to sit like this. He goes, and I sit like this, because that's how I want to sit. And he's so much more freeing with his thing. And I learned the generalist idea from him. He said, because a specialist has to be shit at everything else in order to be a specialist at that one thing. So you're missing out on life. So I'm like, I'm going to be a generalist and have a piece of this, like a bee, you know? And then end up with this bee pollen that's an amalgamation of so many medicines. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, now I'm just indulging in everything, and my whole objective is to absorb so much more of life, because I was pushing life away because I thought it was cruel. you know, and I'm aware I'm going to die, and it makes everything so much more amplified. Water, I can taste different quality water, man. Literally, like a wine taster. Like matcha tea. I go, that's not good. That's a good one.
Yeah, you were refusing tap water here in the Netherlands.
Yeah.
Why is that? Because we have good water, right?
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
But I got a distiller, a water
I
distiller.
have one back home as well. Yeah.
Right. And I use the Dutch tap water. And when you distill it and you look inside the distiller, there's a substance left behind that's the same color as coffee. Now, if I distill my water about 3 times, I'll have a shot glass full of this brown, sweet-smelling stuff that gets left behind in a distiller. Do you want to drink it?
Yeah, you got a point there. I don't have the distiller that actually does that. I have a water filter, like
filter is different
ceramic
to a
filter,
distiller.
and
Yeah.
it gets spun by some magnetic thing, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
Tastes better. So I think
A distiller is a little bit different. I like the thing about a distiller because trying to take impurities out of water, there's room for error. But to take water out of impurities is 100%. Because that's how the sun works.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's how a distiller works. It evaporates the water and everything heavy is left behind. So we are essentially drinking each other's urine every day.
yeah, people don't understand.
Because all of the minerals and whatever that's in your urine, they stay on the earth and the pure water evaporates to the clouds and then gets recycled.
Yeah.
So when I look in the distiller, it's brown stuff left behind in the thing. That's Dutch water. And if I fill that shot glass up, it will look the color muddy coffee. That's what it looks like. Drink that and see if you don't end up in a hospital that evening. And effectively, if you drink 3 distillers full of water without being distilled, that I put in the distiller, you've drank that amount of that brown stuff. That's sitting around in your cells, disturbing your mood, your potential. Because your nervous system is going to go, your engine is not that good, so that's not for you. So you look at a possibility that needs a certain amount of energy and you just go, not for me, not for me, because you're the reference. But if it's vibrant, you go, I'll do that, I'll do that, I'll do that, I'll do that.
I'm always wondering with stuff like this, when you talk about the distilling of your water, when you were running on, your ancestors were running around in nature, they drank water from sources like rivers, and beavers pissed in it, and an elk shit into the water a couple of miles up.
Yeah, but it distills itself.
Yeah. So but there must have been stuff in that water as well.
Yeah, but they don't drink it here. They drink it here.
Yeah. But even if that
they
might
weren't
be so
stupid, you know what I mean? They didn't drill into the ground before it finished its process like we do. They go, right, the elk shit's up here. Right, no animals drinking it there. The animals wait over here after it's been through the leaves and the rocks and all of these things. And then they go, if you look at the Tuareg or any of, there's water all over the place, but they travel so many miles to get it from there. Because they know it's been through its process, where the process is.
Yeah.
People don't understand that people with cancer and they have this chemical treatment and they throw up in the water and all this shit is getting in our water as well.
Soup, yeah.
And we even had a specialist on the podcast here, and she told us that like whole frog populations turn female because of the
estrogen from the anti-conception.
Yeah. That's crazy shit.
Well, that was interesting because we talked a little bit about this, and I heard you mention it, the importance of your hormones and the way your food and the water, because that was one that freaked me out as well. The fact that I apparently am taking all these hormones from anti-conceptions by just drinking the water.
Sure.
And that's going to fuck with my testosterone and all that stuff. Could you share a little bit about your vision about that? Because you're very knowledgeable about the testosterone, cortisol interactions.
Cortisol is our biggest enemy. We're put in a situation, the society has a bunch of people that doesn't want to go to work. There's a bunch of people here that don't want to go to work. Their identity is based upon I don't sweat, nor do my kids. So you and your kids have to sweat. We'll take 40% of your taxes and go on holiday and never work. And I'll have your wealth that you're supposed to pass on to your children. And I'll take all the wealth and the inheritance from Africans, from all the diamonds and the minerals that we take from over there. Right? And then we'll demonize those people just so that you look that way instead of looking at us. And we'll give all of that wealth that should have went to those people to our children. And then you'll see them on the TV just partying the whole time and doing nothing. Not that I'm jealous of that. They can keep that. You know, it was like the other day I was trying to explain to people there's so much history around us, but it's not in a book. You know, you can see it in people's behavior, their cadence. I said, do you ever wonder why a Jamaican is so laid back? Like, why? I said, it's defiance. It's become a culture. Because how do you mess up the slave masters who's competing with the other guy that lives down the road on his plantation, and they've got the luxury to go, I've got more horses than you because my slaves work harder, so bring in more profit. That's what's important for him. You know, to swap now, it's like they swap bank account numbers. Look how many zeros I got on a golf course. All right? And what does a slave do? He says, well, you know, that really bothers him if he has less than that guy. So when I walk from there to there, I'm going to walk slow. When I walk from there to there, I'm going to lean up, chill out, slow down his production. All right? So when you see, for instance, pictures of a slave being whipped, and he's got all the scars on his back, you're looking at a warrior. Because all the subordinate ones have got clean backs. The one that's got the self-esteem, he's covered in scars.
We're pissing off the master.
Yeah, of course. Master, whatever that is. The dependent person who needs somebody else to feed him and cook his food and have somebody comb his wife's hair and bathe her. Sounds like a child to me. That's why they call the black woman mama. Papa. It's hilarious. I mean, but you just got to change your angle at looking at these things. So, again, what was your question again?
About cortisol and hormones.
Yeah, the cortisol. So now what happens is the whole slavery thing has no color anymore. There's working poor of all races all over the place. And that's high performance. So you give your child up to school and they make them sit down for 8 hours in a day and go, you've got to learn all of this information in this very short space of time. Cortisol's been introduced immediately, because that's not just saying that you won't get the right grades, that's saying you won't have a life. That machine that you put your card in the wall will go, life's done for you. You don't have enough digits, it's over. And your card comes back out and you just got to deal with it. Somebody else goes, all right, and he goes, life has just opened up. Do you know what I mean? So everybody's worried about pay. You spend all your time paying your bills to the part you just eating shit just to pay bills. You know, what you put inside your body is crap. Just to keep the light on or the electricity on, to take yourself away from the fact that you have had no life except for the weekend. Now they're even working on Saturdays. I mean, Holland's funny, right? Because they make them work on Saturdays. They're cool, we take Monday off then. Nothing happens on a Monday. Nothing happens on a Monday.
No parties going on Mondays.
Right, so it's like cortisol. If you understand what that does to the proteins in your body, now what happens is you're exasperating the problem. The body becomes weaker. So the situation, the obstacle remains the same. You're now becoming, your area of concerns are becoming bigger. So now the slightest thing gives you cortisol because you're already weak. So what was giving you a little bit of cortisol the day before, living in that environment, you're becoming weaker and weaker and weaker. Kidneys are not working because when the cortisol is present, dopamine and serotonin are not secreted. They can't live in the environment. Those two hormones switch your kidneys on. You need them. If they're not there, the kidneys, they lay dormant. Because serotonin and dopamine say that there's no tiger around and there's plenty of food. That's why they're present, and the kids are there. So those chemicals get released when you're sitting around the fire playing with the kids because you've done all the hunting. Now we're going to start cleaning him up because he's not moving, he doesn't need blood. Because the lymphatic system's so massive, it needs all of that blood. So if we're going to deprive him of eating, if we clean him, if we become lymphatic while he's chasing the deer. So let's turn that off right now and make him pure adrenaline, pure cortisol. We wake up in a cortisol state, ready to perform. You know what I mean? But to stay in that state all the time, you're not setting off the sewage system. So it's great to have the kitchen, liver, cooking all the blood. Great. But the kitchen will get shut down if you don't take care of its hygiene. All the food's polluted. Kidneys are important. Adrenaline gland sits right on top of the kidneys like an afro. Right here, it's a fine line between love and hate. This one needs serotonin and dopamine. This one reacts because of cortisol. The unfortunate thing is that this one is popping off the whole time. So the adrenal glands get shot. Now you've got no power. Now you've got coffee, bam, 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 stimulants, Red Bull, cigarettes, alcohol, sugar, just to survive and pay those bills. Then you need to watch that TV to get over the fact that you're a slave. Live vicariously through some guy that's behaving like he's free on the TV. Or a video game where you're going, yeah, Grand Theft Auto, I'm a winner, and you're obsessed. I need to be first. That says something about your life. So my whole thing is, how do we deal with that cortisol state? Live in the now. So when I'm walking along, I have the same issues as everybody else, but I'm not thinking about the bills. I'm thinking about how my feet move in my shoes. And what that does, you say, yeah, but if you don't think about your bills and all you're thinking about how your feet move in your shoes, how are you going to take care of your bills? Because if I walk around thinking about my feet all day, I am ready to take care of my bills because I haven't been worried. I'm pumped. I'm distilled. I'm ready. I'm primed to take care of my issues. Worrying about them become lower, like the issue becomes bigger, the concern becomes bigger, area of influence diminishes. You know what I mean? I said every time you move, the cortisol is secreted even more because you're becoming smaller and the problem is becoming bigger. And it's just exasperated, you know what I mean, messes the microbes in your stomach, creates candida, and then you've got the bed for cancer. You know what I mean? And then you want to reverse all of that stuff. And if you think knowing that you've got cancer is going to make less cortisol, you've just hyped it up even more. So as soon as the doctor says to you, you've got cancer, you're dead.
That's killer. Yeah, I get that. Can you talk a little bit more about that candida, which you talked about? Because absorption is a big factor in health, and this is linked to that.
Absorption?
Well, the candida, what is it exactly, and how does it affect your health?
It's a fungus that messes up. Basically, once it lives off sugar, it lets go it controls you. So it says, now, you're my host, you're my slave. I want sugar. I don't want to give you any sugar. And then it releases a chemical that attacks your brain, makes you feel all anxious, and then you take sugar, and then it rewards you by calming down. Now you're a slave. You get the message now.
Wow.
Right? And then what happens is, if we try to kill it, then it dies. You start killing it, but like all bodies, it decomposes. And those gases are let off and those poisons are let off. And now you get this thing called die-off. I've had it for like 4 days, couldn't move my eyeballs left or right. I had a headache from the hell.
Yeah, you can get headaches.
And some people quit during that process, but on the 4th day, you're free. It's over, but you can never put that sugar back in your body again. Some of them are so smart, right? That if you've got parasites in your body as well, and then you start doing, like, you might take bicarbonate of soda, which is an enemy to these things.
What is that exactly?
Bicarbonate of soda is like baking powder.
Yeah.
It's a mineral.
All right.
Right? If you grow kefir, which is like a probiotic, if you give it bicarbonate of soda, they pump up like they're on steroids. They're living organisms. And you know what's interesting about kefir? If you take the tap water and try and clean them with the tap water, they'll die.
That's
So what do you think is happening to your microbes every time you drink in this water? And your microbes are you. They're your mood.
Yeah, that's
if
a big
they're happy,
one.
you're
That's
happy,
a big
man.
one.
That's interesting, man.
They're, you know, they're your DNA, right? So basically, where's my train of thought gone? Went into the candida.
Yeah, I was asking what exactly
Right,
is
so
this
if they
candida?
die, if they die off, right, then you get this die off period. But like if you've got parasites and they know that you're trying to dose them, do you know what they do? They run into the belly of the parasite to hide. Because your dosage is not trying to kill the parasite. So they'll go into the belly of the parasite, okay? And then when you stop dosing, they'll come back out and reinfect you. So what some people do, they put bicarbonate of soda in honey. Because the parasite also likes sugar. So when the parasite starts eating the honey, the bicarbonate of soda goes in his belly and kills them boys too.
That's a very disturbing idea,
Has that been
man.
researched? Is that like a proper thing? Like, or is it just?
I've read about it, and then I've seen it in my children, because every full moon, like all fish, they're born in a particular place, then they become young and they go away, and then they'll come back to the place where they was most comfortable, like a bird. If you bring up a pigeon and you register in its brain, this is the place where I grew, I was fed well, you cleaned me every day, you can take that pigeon to France and it will come home.
Yeah.
Because that's its place of comfort.
Magnetic compass.
Right. So the same with parasites. If they were born in your belly, they become microscopic and they swim around in your bloodstream. And then when they become adults, they go back to the gut to mate. And the time to go back to the gut is full moon. That's why you see the kids going, I can know when it's going to be full moon when the kids become naughty. Right? And at that particular time, I dose them. Do you know what I mean?
Every full moon, you're on the soda
Bam!
and honey.
I'm dosing them. Straight up. Because I'm dosing the adults. That I don't want them to mate. Now I have to deal with a whole cycle again.
It's a whole ecosystem, man. It's a disturbing, if you think about it and you really let it, like, you know, get into your head, there's stuff swimming through your blood, which is parasitic, and apparently it has a whole mating cycle. And the most disturbing part I found that, so if I get it right...
But your red blood cells will deal with that. If you're a parasite, you're always going to have some sort of parasite.
Yeah, but still, the amount of agency that these things apparently have, that it goes like, oh, I'm under attack here, the host is trying to kill me, I'm going to hide in the belly of this other parasite. That's a horror story, man.
Bruv, look at insects and what they do. There's an insect that will literally protect itself by secreting little bits of sugar, so that instead of the ant killing it milks it. And it's like a caterpillar that just secretes it. Goes like this, like a drug dealer. He just gives the ant some sugar and it leaves it alone.
I was thinking about a cow, but yeah, it's the same thing.
Insects are amazing. If you think these microbes are not as smart, they're millions of years old.
Yeah, they survive, no worries.
And their ultimate feast is you, dead.
Yeah.
Because there's no antibodies anymore fighting them. There's no competition. That's where they want you to be, dead. And they have their feast and they go back to where they come from, the earth. Do you know what I mean? So I just cut down the amount of these parasites, and you'll never really get rid of them. You're supposed to have some, because you know your red blood cells are supposed to be. You're not supposed to be taking herbs to get rid of parasites all the time. Your own blood will do that for you. I've seen it under a microscope. The red blood cells go and they go around it and they attack it and kill it.
Yeah.
But then imagine if you've got a lot of parasites, the person becomes anemic and pale because all the blood is being used in this war.
Isn't it the white blood cells that are responsible for protection?
I think it was red.
Remember this cartoon you used to have?
Yeah.
Like
Was is het leven? Is that what that was called?
Yeah. What's it in English then?
Yeah, it was about the human body.
Human body, so these white blood cells with police caps on. Beating
yeah.
the shit out of viruses and stuff.
Could be white. You know what I mean? But the one I saw, I think they were saying it was red.
All right.
Not too sure, but they were just you see the parasite and you see them just go like an army and wrap around it and kill it. And we're supposed to be, you know, all of this in stuff. You know, if you fast and stop the things that wear you out, everything you need has been rested, and it accumulates.
Yeah.
And then you've armed yourself, man.
It's one of the last subjects we can talk about because you're on the schedule.
Sure.
And we were talking about before the show about fasting. I was doing cool with my 8-hour fast window, and then you destroyed my vision about it. And none of this bullshit intermittent fasting you were saying.
That was my sentence.
Explain that.
Well, what they do, they say that when you're sleeping, you're fasting. You're eating when you're sleeping. Because now what happens is you're digesting, because what we really eat is the amino acids, is the blood quality. The stuff that's sitting in your stomach, that's not eating. You've just put it in the bank. Now it's being processed.
Yeah.
And really what you're eating is the blood. During the night, you're not moving. So how are you eating the blood? You start eating the blood in the morning. So you haven't actually fasted during the night. You start fasting, the process of eating the foods that's in the molecular stuff that's in the blood. You only start using that up and eating that up when you start moving. And then what you done, you just missed breakfast. You fasted for 3 hours, man. But if you don't eat the whole day, and when the sun goes down, you just have a couple of sips of water or 7 dates, and then carry on and go to sleep, whole different bag. I just come off a fast. You shouldn't do this because it can pull you over into cortisol. And your lymphatic system doesn't work, becomes sludgy, because once you don't have stuff moving through your body, then everything kind of stagnates. But I just come off a fast of 66 hours to do this film. And that's fasting. And the good thing about it is sometimes people fast and you have to understand that you stop the process as soon as you're sipping on water or drinking a coffee. You're not fasting. And if you drink coffee on a fast, you're really messing with your you're destroying your adrenal glands. Any of these type of stimulants, especially in this environment, you need to stay away from stimulants. Adaptogens, whole other bag. Brilliant. I mean, because that blocks the cortisol. So the energy is not coming from outwardly, it's stopping the stuff that saps your energy, and your natural energy is just allowed to do its thing.
Adaptogens.
Yeah.
So if you, but 66 hours fasting, you don't do it on a weekly basis, right? So what's your fasting schedule and a normal?
I live the fast of David, which is I only eat every 2 days. So I eat one day, don't eat the next. Eat the next day, don't eat the next.
You work out on days you don't?
I'm stronger. Because there's no digestion. All the blood in your body goes around your gut to just digest food.
And you don't drink water either?
Nothing. But your body, but you see, my body's like this. You sure? Yeah, I'll kill you. I'm not joking. My will is so powerful. If you don't listen to me, you die. Okay, I'm not gonna get involved in this argument. What do you want me to do? Well, when I drink today, you need to store my water more than the average human being. So my cells are far more lubricated because they know I'm not gonna eat the next day.
Yeah.
So it's like, for instance, a friend of mine taught me, a guy called Bruce Leader, who's a little, very small guy like this, who used to beat guys on steroids, a natural bodybuilder. Don't know why anybody hasn't spoken about this guy. And he said that if I can take more minerals than anybody else from rice, because I'll mono diet the rice and deprive my body. And usually what the rice will do is, what the body will do is say, I've got minerals from everybody else, everywhere else. So I'll just take the carbs from the rice. But the rice comes from the earth. So it has minerals in it. Not the rice we're eating today, but you know, good rice.
Yeah.
Right? And so what he'll do, he'll say, when I eat that rice, because I'm on a mono diet, I take more minerals from it than the average person. So when I eat food, because I'm fasting the next day, I absorb far more nutrients from my food than the average person is constantly dosing their body. And the final thing on it, this is this. If you have a herd of animals and there's constant food, the weak ones in that herd won't show themselves. Everybody's eating. But if the food becomes scarce, the weak ones start to show up. The ones that will hold the herd back. Because now there's a shortage of food, the predators become a little bit more present. And the weak ones are going, you know, they can smell the weak ones, and now you're bringing a lot of the wrong attention to the group. My objective is to play the same game with my cells. There are cells from my childhood that were ruined when I was beaten. And because I've constantly eaten since a child, that melancholy is sitting around in my body. But if I starve the body, the first ones that are going to get attacked are the weak ones. So as I'm fasting every day, I'm getting rid of the days I was beaten. So that's probably why you say I've evolved, because I've been practicing this for a while. So every time I spent this 66 hours I did, I've probably killed the beating I got when I was 3 that was trapped there all this time. And now my good cells have gone, there's nothing to eat, I'm eating you. Gone. That bad day at school, gone. The cell's called a cell for a reason. It traps days, emotions, what you've eaten, how you were feeling. In the protoplasm of that is trapped a diary.
But every 7 years, your whole body regenerates, right?
I think every 40 days you can get a new eyeball.
Yeah?
Yeah, man.
That's
if it's shorter than that.
I thought it was 7 years.
Yeah, I thought it was 7 years as well.
It depends on which organ. Some organs take longer to turn
was
over.
Kidney. I was thinking about kidney. Or
No, but I think it's right.
Liver
What I was
function,
thinking about, though, is that it might have something to do. We talked to this neurosurgeon the other day called Dick Swap, and he told us about epigenetics, which is basically very stressful events influencing your DNA, or capping at least little keyholes on your DNA, and you carry that. And major trauma, especially stressful trauma, does that to your body. So there might be, you know, something to that. Yeah. How do you feel after a 60-day fast? 66-day fast.
Well, I learned a lot because I fasted before, making weight. And if you haven't lived a good lifestyle, that will show up as you're fasting. You just have issues. You know, you're weak and all of this. But I've lived a good lifestyle for so long and ate so well. And there's no metal contamination in my house. I don't use metal forks and all of this stuff. I either use, you know, chopsticks or porcelain spoons. The only pan that I have is made of iron. So if that leaches into the food, if I've got an iron deficiency, I get some iron. But I'm not using aluminium and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Is there really an impact from eating with the wrong utensils?
Absolutely, man.
Yeah. It's a lot of
go back to the kefir grains. Put metal near it. It dies. It's a probiotic.
Yeah.
You're made up of those things.
It will kill it off. Yeah.
You'll kill them off, and that's why you'll end up with candida like this, and all your good ones gone. So I just cut down the amount of these things, because when the issues in my environment's not going to change. I have to change to be able to deal with it. So the less issues I have, is the easier that will get.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So after 66 days, what I realized is that my lifestyle made it easy. I was sitting in a hot bath full of salt after 66 days, 66 hours. And usually I used to get palpitations before and stuff like that. Nothing. I was sitting there talking to him. Then I jumped up, wrapped myself up in towels. There was hardly any sweat coming out because all the water had left my body. Do you know what I mean? And then I went back in the bath again. And then I went to solarium to pull even more water out. You know what I mean? And I was like, I wasn't weak. And all of those things, but the setup was really good. When you see these MMA guys are drinking beer and eating crap and all this, and then they go, right, I'm going to go now rip my body to pieces, you know, in the last 10 days just before I get in the ring. Yeah, of course you're going to be crying when you're trying to make weight. But I just felt like a friendship with my body, because it made all its adjustments to get me through this. you know. And then it capped off with me actually making the weight. Then I took some seaweed, all these different seaweeds. I ate some dates, some dried sweet potato, but like oven baked sweet potato.
Those are nice.
Yeah, some ginseng, you know, matcha tea, and then I went to the gym. Being that emaciated, and I boxed with a bull. Yeah. You know what I mean? So that's in the bank.
Cool, man. Yeah. You're an interesting cat, to say the least. But yeah, you're on the schedule, so we have to, unfortunately, have to end it. I hope you come back someday, man.
Yeah, man. I enjoyed it. Good questions, man. I'm only as good as the questions I get asked, you know.
Thank you. Appreciate it a lot.
Yeah, we'll get a little bit more into training because there's a lot you know about that as well. We talked about that a little bit before the podcast, but I think there's more ground we can cover. Anyway, thank you for coming out, and good luck with the movie. Yeah. And shout out to your camera guy who did a great job.
Yeah, you guys have to watch, or your viewers have to watch Bellator. My friend is fighting for they got a new section on it, the kickboxing section in Bellator. And he's fighting for the world championship.
What's his name?
On the 23rd, Kevin the Soul Assassin Ross.
All right, everybody go look at the Soul Assassin.
Yeah.
Enjoy it before the Dutch take over.
All right, and on that note,
go.